All right, welcome to Decision 2025, a candidate forum for the upcoming Lamar's City runoff election. I'm Michael Barr. I'm a government teacher at Lamar's Community High School, and I'll be your moderator today. We're broadcasting on KLEM radio and streaming on the KLEM YouTube channel. We're doing 2 half-hour segments this morning. In the first segment, we'll hear from City Council at-large candidates Derek Conyers and Beth Meyer. Then in segment 2, we'll shift to the mayoral race with Brian Hughes and Rob Bixenman. If you're tuning in and want to submit a question, you can do that while we're on the air by going to KLEM1410.com or heading over to the KLEM Facebook page and filling out the form. Just a heads up, we're not taking phone calls today. We received dozens of question submissions, and we won't be able to get all of them, but we'll do our best to hit all the major topics that are on the people's minds. We're asking our candidates to keep their responses to about 1 minute, maybe up to 90 seconds, so we can cover as many questions as possible. Candidates will have the chance to offer rebuttals as well. Well, let's begin by giving each candidate an opportunity to tell our listeners about themselves. The order was decided by a coin flip, and after the opening statements, we will alternate questions with each candidate. So we'll begin with the opening statement from Derek Conyers. Good morning, welcome, and the floor is yours.
All right, good morning. Thanks, KLEM, for putting this on. Thanks to the 3,000 some odd people that turned out for the election. I mean, everybody's engaged, obviously maybe a little too engaged. Thanks to the 1,100 people that chose to vote for me. I truly appreciate that. And thanks to Clark Goodchild for all of his years of service. I truly think that we need somebody like Clark Goodchild in City Council, somebody who's been willing to stand up and, speak, ask hard questions, and, hold opposition to things. And that's where I feel we need someone like that in City Council, and I'd like to be someone like that. Nothing's really changed with me since I said I'd run. I have issues with the 45 plan and the way it's being executed. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about, City Council. I just want someone with my thoughts and concerns to have a voice on City Council, and that's who I am, and yeah.
All right. Now let's hear the opening statement from Beth Meyer. Good morning, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Barr. Thank you, KLEM, for hosting us this morning. My name is Beth Meyer. I'm a candidate for City Council in Lamar's, Iowa. I am running for a lot of reasons, actually. I just said I had 45 tabs open in my brain, and they're open all of the time because that's what happens, honestly, when you're a mom. That's what happens when you lead a business, and that's what happens when you're engaged in your community, because you're constantly thinking about what everybody else is doing and how your decisions are going to affect everyone else. I am coming at this with a very family-focused I would say presentation. I think that everybody needs to be represented, not just singular groups or voices. I think all voices need to be heard, and that collaboration to come together and join those voices in unity is what's really needed in City Council. I don't think it's necessarily a singular voice, but it's the voices of many. Like I said, I'm coming at this from a family aspect. I was very engaged in the school bond issue. I was very encouraging of getting that passed and helpful along the way. I think that our schools are extremely in a crucial point right now because we are in competition with other communities. We are in competition with other schools. We have 2 schools in our town. We need to be able to provide them great teachers. We need to be able to provide their families a great place to live and raise their families. And we also need to look at succession planning beyond what the schools are offering in our community. And doing that is marketing our community in a way that we are extremely welcoming and inviting and create a place that is just a great place to live.
All right. Well, thank you, candidates. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we have a good discussion today. All right. Let's proceed to the questions. We got a lot of responses. I got a big pile here. I got some in my notes. So that's been good to see. Thanks to everybody that submitted questions. Okay, first question is going to go to Beth because by the order here. All right, let's start with the firehouse bond because I think that's an important thing that especially because it just happened. So with the resounding defeat of the firehouse bond, what do you see as the next step? Should it be scaled down? Should it be brought back to voters? What's the next step, I guess, for that process?
So I had gone to one of the firehouse forums, the second one, and I asked Dave Schipper, what is your plan B? what is the plan for November 5 if and when this doesn't pass? It was resounding within the community that pretty much going in, I figured it was not going to pass. I wish that they would already be out there campaigning. I wish that they would be speaking to industries and getting pledges for, okay, this is what we're willing to put forth. Go to the county. The county doesn't have a say in this. They are not paying city taxes. So is the county going to support the usage of our fire department? What does that look like? Come at us with a plan of this is what we have on the table, and this is what we are going to ask of our community so that they have a more realistic number coming at us the next time versus it might be 16 million, but really it might only be 12. And I think educating the community also what it will actually cost us per month would also be helpful. When we did the school bond issue, we had a calculator online. This is what your assessment is. This is how much it's going to cost you a month. I think informing us and being completely transparent is what really would help push it over the finish line.
All right. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Unfortunately, it did get shut down, but I do think we need to roll up our sleeves and get to work and do get a plan B going for them because, yeah, I mean, we do got guys sleeping in closets, and we do need to do something about that. And, yeah, unfortunately, did get shot down by the voters. And, yeah, let's get to work to get something going for them.
All right. Okay, great. Next question's for Derek, and we'll kind of dive into some of the pertinent issues here. Obviously, I don't think this is not obvious, but opinions about the Vision 2045 plan seem to be pretty front and center. But I want to drill into this just a little bit. What specifically, what do you like about the plan? What do you not like about the plan? Let's kind of give us a feel for that, and then we'll talk about it some more as we go here.
Well, I like that we do have a plan, okay? I never once have said I don't want growth, anything like that. I think the problem that everyone has, or the majority has, is the execution of the plan so far. I mean, it seems to be getting done with apartment buildings. And I have the original plan at my house, and I have the new plan. And, even like with Erdmanville, the original draw-up was fantastic, and now the new one has been done with high-rise apartments. I think everyone's concern is just the apartments. I mean, you can go around the community and talk to everybody. The concern is the apartments and the execution of it. I think what we want to see is a way to get homes available for people in town. And, we talk about all these numbers of people living outside of town. And is that because they can't get a home here? Like, what can we do to figure out a way to make homes available here? Obviously we could try to do the 55 plus thing because people are staying in their homes longer than they ever did before. But then you open up a home, it's hard to compete against these guys that are flipping houses. If a affordable home comes up, these guys are so quick and with the cash to get these houses that these people can't get them. And I think that's a challenge we need to figure out because it's really hard to get a home in town, and we just got to figure out a way to make those available for people.
All right. Anything you want to add?
Yeah,
okay,
actually.
Perfect. All right, go ahead.
So I know that the apartments have been a major point of contention, but I think it's only a starting point. It's not the finish line. So the finish line is actually, in listening to council meetings, going to the LBAC and Vision 2045 kind of report card that they had. They're looking at modular homes. They're looking at how to build spec homes. You got to find a developer that can be willing to come in and build these homes for people that, can't afford a $300,000 home or a $400,000 home because the developers here are building homes that they're going to make money off of. And any developer coming in is going to want to make money. So how do we do it to keep the cost down to the people buying the homes? And I think that's what is at the forefront right now for the next steps. Like I said, we have teachers coming into this community. They can't afford a I think 250,000 is expensive for a starter home because then all of a sudden, what is your entrance fee into the community? Well, then your entrance fee is 20% down on a $250,000 home. And I don't know many people that just have, $40,000+ lying around. So I think that the modular spec home is the next point that we need to do, and I think Vision 2045 and having a long-term plan is really important to keep our community successful.
All right, let's stay on this Vision 2045 kind of deal here. Okay, let's focus on that population growth number because that seems to be a pretty kind of hot contested issue here. How do you stand? This goes to Beth now. How do you stand specifically on that part of the plan? What are the benefits and detriments of increasing it. I guess what does that look like? What's your specific spot on the population growth?
So for the population growth, I guess I don't even consider the 20,000 to be the finish line. I think I'm just looking at it as growth. And I made a Facebook post this week, and no matter what adjective you put in front of the word growth, it is still growth. We are still seeking out people to come to our community. I think that 20,000 is aggressive. Do I think it's a realistic goal? No, I do not. I think that we have around, I don't know, I think they've said between 3,000 and 4,000 people that come to work here every single day. So 60% of our workforce currently, as a community as a whole, do not get the opportunity to live in our community. Not everybody wants to live here. I get it. You want to live in a smaller town, live in a bigger town, that's fine. But we need to provide opportunities, and that may be apartments, that may be duplexes, or whatever it may be. But we need to provide people that work here the opportunity to live here and reinvest in our community.
Okay, Derek, I assume you want to add to that, population growth wise. I know you said you're against that, the population growth. Do you want to anything you want to add to that as far as that specific part of the plan?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm not just opposed to like growth. I'm just, obviously they threw out the 20,000, number, and they threw the number out there, and of course it scares everybody. I mean, but you can't take back the fact that you threw it out there. I'm, going to be the guy that says organic growth. I mean, just the natural growth. You go around this town and talk to anybody, I just don't see why it's so hard to believe that people kind of like the size of our town and just natural organic growth coming here. When you bring in chunks and large numbers of people into this town, it brings in crime and other things that people are worried about, and that's a major concern. And it's just something that when you just go around town, it just doesn't seem like the majority of people really want that. And I think just like the results of this last election, I think that seems pretty obvious.
All right. Let's stay on this growth idea for a minute, because both of you kind of talked about you both want growth. So what does growth look like? Like I hear the word organic growth, natural growth, normal growth. I've heard those a lot as I was kind of reading some interviews and some other things about this. But what does that look like? What does that mean? What are we doing? What are we not doing as far as the Vision 2045 plan goes?
I guess I don't want to see it done in just big chunks at a time, just bringing in people from that don't have the same community pride that a lot of us do here, that care about this town like we do, I do, and just coming in just massive chunks at a time. That's the biggest concern, I think, with most people here. I don't have any problem with people coming here, but I want people that care about this place as much as I do. And that's the concern. It just doesn't want to happen too fast, and then you just start getting a lot of people in here that just don't care. I mean, and that's my worry, and that's everyone's worry. I mean, just natural, just sustained growth, just not done in a rapid form. That's everyone's concern, and I just feel like that's what everybody wants addressed.
All right. Anything you want to add to that? What does growth look like to you?
Growth to me looks like community engagement. So if we want to preserve what we have as a town, be prideful, be proud of what we are, be proud of who we are, we need to have a community engagement. We have so many groups and organizations that are losing members all the time, mostly because they're aging out. And I think that those groups are the people that welcome people into town. We have a couple of big events. There's one next week, and that is our opportunity to welcome people into town. That is them getting to look. Growth to me looks like providing opportunities to people that want to live here. Growth to me looks like the hospital recruiting more doctors. Growth to me looks like we need people in City Hall. I know that there's succession planning going on everywhere. It's people that have spent their careers working for these local industries that are going to need to be replaced. So growth isn't just, promoting one from within all the time. We are going to need to recruit. We are constantly in competition, yes, with our other communities around here, and we need to be able to provide a strong marketing campaign that we are a community worth investing your life in, your career in, and your family in.
All right. Thank you. Next question goes to Beth, and I'll focus on this housing idea for a minute because you guys talked about it a little bit. There's been a discussion out there about the need for more low-cost single-dwelling housing. Do you agree with that? What can we do to attract that type of housing? For example, I know it's been out there about the tax abatement. Do we shift that tax abatement to housing? Do we keep it, adjust it? How do you want to handle that? How do we actually do that? Both of you, I think, said we need to get more of that, but how how are you going to do that, I guess is the question.
Well, I think we need to have someone that is willing to invest in our community, and that may be of a developer. I know that other communities around here, it was the city that took charge and actually paid up front for the homes to be built, and then that kept the cost low because the city isn't doing it to make a profit. I have talked to other towns that have done similar things and done modular homes or spec homes or workforce housing, and that was how they kept the cost down to the consumer. Now, if you have a developer coming in, they want to make money. Obviously, that is what their forefront is. As far as the tax abatements goes, tax abatements aren't just about apartments. They are about multi-family or family units. So that could be senior housing, which we desperately need here. My mom is out at Good Sam, and prior to that, we looked at assisted living, and she wasn't a candidate, but we need assisted living facilities. We need duplexes. We need other options for people outside of, yes, apartments, but we do need apartments because that's a starting place, especially for young kids coming here for jobs.
Anything you want to add? You got the
Yeah,
floor here for that.
It's just something small. I mean, if we pause the tax abatement, I'd be curious to see what would happen. I do agree we do need more senior living and duplexes, things like that. But I would like to see a pause on the tax abatement for apartments, yes, and I would be curious to see what happened after we're doing something like that.
Okay, let's go to another question here, and I have it's an interesting one, so I thought I'd put it in here. There's been a growing concern out there, this is for Derek, about people making comments that have stated we need to achieve a certain growth plan in order to keep Ferraro or Wells from leaving. I guess what are your thoughts on those concerns? You have the floor is yours for that.
Well, I guess I'm not privy to special information like that to be able to have any type of input on certain businesses leaving this town. If we don't fulfill growth needs, I guess that is outside of any information that I'd have. I would hope that if there was something like that floating around, that would be publicly addressed and we would be informed on something like that.
Yeah. Beth, same to you. Question.
Will you
to
repeat that question for me so I can
sorry.
properly answer it?
My
No,
fault.
I just want to make sure that I'm answering the question.
It says, can you address the growing concerns in the city regarding people making comments that have stated we need to achieve a certain growth plan in order to keep Ferraro from leaving?
So my role with Wells Enterprises, I work in the communications department, and I am not privy to any of those conversations. I haven't heard of those conversations taking place. So as far as that goes, I don't know that there's a there. As far as a certain growth plan that we need to achieve to keep them here, I can't really answer that.
Okay.
Beyond that.
Okay. Sounds good. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yep.
Got it a couple times
I know,
in the question, so I thought I'd ask. People were concerned about it, which is a reasonable concern. Okay. Let's go to, I got another question, and let's go to Beth for this one because Derek got the last one. This one's about workforce, and I thought it was interesting. The need for decent jobs is growing, and if population is doubled, we're going to need to meet the need in the workforce as well. So what can we do to improve the workforce in Lamar's?
We need to provide them an opportunity to live here. People want to live where they work, I think, for the most part, and then you reinvest into your communities. So you spend money where you live. I think ultimately it is providing them the opportunity to live here.
All right. Derek, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I just, if we are going to bring all these people in here, what kind of jobs are we going to bring here? Is it going to be just more industrial, things like that? Are these the people that run these businesses, are they going to live here? Be curious what kind of work we're trying to bring to town. Are we just going to keep doing line work, things like that, retail? Are we just going to stick to the industrial type work? I'm curious about that.
Okay. Thank you. Derek, this next question's for you because I went to Beth that last time, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to keep this straight today. All right, so Derek, next question goes to you. This one is, I was interested in this anyway, so I'm sort of glad it got asked because I had a thought on it too. It's not my question. It is not. It's from a person. It's right there. But I was glad it got asked. Can you give thoughts on the enforcement of odd even parking, and should odd even parking only be enforced during snow emergencies? I thought I'd go with a less controversial one here.
Okay, well,
got?
I will say I'm actually glad that the last couple of years they seem to be a lot better on just giving you the warning ticket. Before they used to be a lot more strict on it. I would say it would be nice to see that once snow started flying, because these last few years our winters have gotten a lot milder. So I would like to see it, but it's also hard to say. I mean, a snowstorm can pop up at any minute.
Sure.
So I do respect that they've been doing a lot more warnings and being a lot more lenient on it than in the last few years. But yeah, I guess. Thanks for the question.
Hey, a couple of them popped up. I thought I'd throw it in there.
Okay,
it's a good one.
Officer Van de Veck actually addressed this at a city council meeting a few weeks ago, and he said, they're really not going to enforce it unless there is snow. They have tried to do, I know other communities, I grew up in Sheldon, you couldn't park on the street after 2 a.m.
Right.
So, and it doesn't work for us. We're a bigger community, and we don't have the options. So they did say that they're going to be a lot more lenient as far as warnings until there really is snow. So this is what they've found that works. Let them keep doing what they're doing. Just follow the rules.
I got so many tickets my first year here. But it's all right.
They've gotten a lot better. They used to be pretty strict.
Yeah, it's all good. Okay, let's go to Beth for the next question, and then we'll do a couple more, and then we'll wrap up here.
Okay.
And this question got asked quite a bit, actually. How do you balance attracting new residents and businesses while preserving the character, affordability, and quality of life that our current residents value? So how do we balance all that together?
Oh man, community engagement. The more you're engaged within your community, the more that you can show new residents and welcome them in and let them know what we're about and that we're really a great community. I will say my husband and I, we moved here in 2004. I hated it here. I didn't know anybody. And it wasn't until I got a job at a local restaurant waitressing that I really started to meet people. And it's when you meet people that you really start to feel like you're a part of that community. So it is on us as citizens to make newcomers feel welcome and that, hey, this is kind of how things are here and teaching them the culture.
All right. Derek, anything you want to add to that one? Or
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
I mean, Lamar's is a welcoming town. I mean, how many people, they say, a lot during this, when they talk about growth here, how many people come here for, say, Christmas and Lamar's and all that, how they want to live here. I mean, Lamar's is an awesome town. It's a welcoming town. I mean, it's great. I don't really, Lamar's I love this town, and, I mean, it speaks for itself.
All right, we'll do one more question, and then I'll give you guys a chance to ask each other a question, and then if you want, and then we'll go to closing statements because we're getting that half hour flies quickly. Okay, so I had a few questions about this, so I'm just throwing it in there. There's been a lot of talk about these anonymous kind of Facebook pages out there, and there's several of them. There's a Lamar's Conservative. I think there's a sheriff one. I think there's a City of Lamar's one or something like that. To be honest, I don't know a ton about them, but I know they've been up. I know it's been out there, and I got several questions about it. I guess, do you know who's running those? And I guess, what do you think about that kind of stuff generally? Is the question that got asked.
Well, I mean, no, I know who runs all of them. No, some of them are. Yeah, some of them are out of control. Some of them are, some of the humor pages are. I wish some of them were funnier, when I'm watching parody videos of myself, so I wish I can kind of enjoy some of them. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of those going around, and it's kind of unfortunate that people feel that they have to hide behind pages so they can, talk about me or talk about Beth or do what they need to do to get their point across because they don't have the courage to be able to do it themselves. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, I've been accused of running these pages. Unfortunately, no, it's not me. I feel like when it comes to the conservatives page, that's not me running the page for like the 1,000th time. Yeah, I think it's kind of unfortunate that people feel they need to hide behind all these pages because they don't have the courage to step up and do exactly what me and Beth are doing right now and putting ourselves out here. And I just think it's unfortunate they don't have courage.
Anything you want to add to that?
Well, actually, my candidate question to Derek kind of follows that. So can I just ask my question? And
sure. Yeah, you don't have to have a rebuttal at all. Okay.
So
then what we'll do is we'll just ask. You can ask each other a question. We'll still try to keep the time to about a minute or so because we gotta get wrapped up here pretty soon. So we'll give you like a minute or so to respond, and then we'll go to closing statements, and then we'll be set. All right. So Beth, you can ask Derek, and then Derek gets you.
So in the recent social media post, you actually mentioned me by name,
Yep.
and you didn't talk trash or anything. It wasn't like that. But you talk about these fake anonymous Facebook pages that they talk trash and don't deserve a response. If you don't agree with these practices, why do you repeatedly interact with such a page and accept their endorsement?
Well, I guess when I was made that was aiming towards that weird golf page that would hop on Sentinel and stuff. And did you see any of that?
What that is.
I heard just a little bit about
that.
That
Was what I was mentioning. There was he would hop on the KLEM pages and the Sentinel pages and was calling me a racist and other names and coming after other people on there and just being very vulgar and being out of control. That's what I was talking about. So I guess when it comes to the conservatives page, I wouldn't say that would be along the same lines as that. It's like the conservatives page. When I first got involved with them, I was very hesitant on them because I didn't know who they were at first, and I was definitely hesitant on it. But then as I started running, I started realizing that I wasn't only running against you. I was running against sitting city council members, the mayor, and a lot of people with a lot of influence. And then finding that somebody was going to shared my voice and would help me with my voice, I was kind of glad that I had somebody in my corner at the end of it because, yeah, by the end of this whole deal, I kind of realized it wasn't just me versus you. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of. Yeah, there are a lot of like-minded people on that page, and yeah, I thought it kind of helped represent who I am and my values.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. We got to wrap up there. Okay, then you have the floor to ask Beth a question if you'd like, and then we'll go to closing statements after that.
I guess my question for you is simple. Like, since November 5th and the results came in, do you think you've changed on any of your stance and anything that you've said since November 5th?
No, I don't think so. I think as people were allowed to change their minds and pivot, I think like with Vision 2045, I think that they can reevaluate the 20,000. I think that's absolutely within the bounds. I've never said that doubling the population is absolute. I absolutely support having a plan because I think that when you have a plan, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. And it's not just about short-term gains all the time. I don't feel like I have changed my stance on anything. I am pro-growth, I am pro-Lamar's, and I will always be a champion for our community.
All right, we'll go ahead and go to closing statements, and we'll go to Beth first for a closing statement. We'll go about a minute, and then Derek can go. I mean, if it's a minute and 5 seconds, it's fine, but let's try to keep it to a minute if we can. And then Derek will go, and then that'll give us time to transition out to the next segment. So, floor is yours for a 1-minute closing statement.
So growing up, my parents were always heavily just curious about, local politics, state politics, government, national government. So we always had the conversations in our home on how that affected us. But also growing up, what my parents taught me was an extremely strong work ethic. They were entrepreneurs. They were the only, employees they had. Our home phone was their business phone. So they ran a bakery supply business. At 12 years old, I was throwing 50-pound sacks of flour, and I got teased for being strong, and I worked really hard. My next job was a waitress at 14, so I was actually been in the service industry for about 30 years. And growing up, I saw what it was like for these small businesses to struggle. And my parents being a supplier, if the bakery's not doing good, they're not doing good. Well, that work ethic has carried me through. Waitressing is the hardest job, I think, in the world. And I did it for a really long time, and that is what allowed my husband and I to, raise our family. We worked opposite shifts, and that is actually the job that helped me feel like I was part of this community. So I'm thankful for this community that they accepted me as an outsider, but it's also my strong work ethic that will help me be beneficial to the city council.
All right, go ahead and. Sorry to cut you off.
I know.
We got to keep going. I'm sorry.
You're good.
We're trying to keep. We're trying to keep the radio going here. Got to stay in business. Derek, you have the floor is yours for a closing statement, sir.
Yeah. No. I'm the average regular Joe. And I feel like I just want to represent that voice in city council. I have no agenda. I'm not part of their little club that seems to be kind of obvious at this point. I think some members in city council have kind of forgotten who they work for, and I think that maybe it's time we start to get that back and start treating some of our citizens with respect. I love this town. That's the only thing I care about, and that's it. I mean, I just want to protect this town and help guide it in the future. That's it.
All right. Well, candidates, thank you very much. For those of you listening, this concludes our debate. We want to thank Beth Meyer, Derek Conyers, and Clem for hosting us. We'll be back in a little bit with the candidates for mayor. Have a great day. Welcome back to the second half of our candidate forum. The same format will apply to this segment. Once again, the listeners can submit questions by going on KLEM1410.com or by following the link on the KLEM Facebook page. We welcome the candidates for the position of mayor of Lamar's this time, Brian Hughes and Rob Bixenman. By the flip of a coin, we determined that we'll start with Brian Hughes, and you can tell our audience about yourself. I'll give you a minute or so, and the floor is yours.
Hi, my name's Brian Hughes. I've been part of this community for the last 30 years. I've been a plumber. Met a lot of people. I'm from Southern California originally. Grew up with 5 siblings. We weren't born with golden spoons in our mouth. It was hard to get through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but we did it. My parents worked, both of them, full-time jobs. And I just like to see that more people can live life without having to work quite so hard as my parents had to work. You know, it was a struggle for them, but we made it. And
all right. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Rob, time is yours. You have a minute or so for an opening statement.
Sure. I'm Rob Bixenman. I'm the 4th generation of my family to live and work in Lamar's here. I've lived here most of my life. My dedication to the mayor role stems from a deep desire to ensure that future generations continue to have the same opportunities that Lamar's has provided me. So over the past 4 years as mayor, I've learned a lot through being able to understand our city's finances, departmental needs. We've got some big upcoming capital projects. I've also developed a really strong working relationship with our local hospitals, schools, business and industry, as well as the citizens of Lamar's. While the mayor doesn't specifically vote on specific council actions, I'm responsible for being a leader and an ambassador for Lamar's, and I take that very seriously. In addition to the experience as mayor, I also bring 30 years of professional experience in the insurance and risk management and finance area. I've built and managed multiple companies, and currently I lead an organization of about 300 employees across 20 different offices in Northwest Iowa.
All right. Okay, so we'll keep moving here. The first question will go to Rob. And we're going to focus our attention. I got dozens of questions here. They're still sending me some as we get started here, so I may have to jump on the iPad and get some more. But let's take a look at this. Vision 2045, I think, is out there quite a bit. So I guess my first question is going to be to Rob, and I'm going to ask, what specific parts do you agree with? What specific parts do you disagree with as far as the Vision 2045 plan goes?
Sure. As far as agreement with it, I agree with most everything in there. I was, one of the authors of the plan, as well as a large group of individuals. So there's 5 sections of the plan: housing, economic development, quality of place, tourism, and downtown development. Obviously, folks are focused on the housing piece, which has a growth component of 20,000 goal in 20 years. What most don't understand is that's a 3% growth rate per year. So 3% compounded over 20 years would double our population. It's a stretch goal. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. It doesn't mean it's set in stone. And this is a working plan. It's a plan that can evolve and should evolve over time. The intent when we adopted the plan was to have 5-year increments of readdressing the plan and see if it's still meeting the community's goals and matching the wishes of the community. We've accomplished a lot in the last 2.5 years, and based on the feedback that we've gotten from the community, I think it's time to open up that the information and gather information and open up the plan and see if we need to make some changes. Maybe we need to back down the goal. As long as the goal is still growth, I'm fully supportive of that. It doesn't have to be 20,000. It could be whatever number you pick. I'm only going to be mayor for 2 years if elected, so it's not that I'm going to be driving this plan for 20 years.
Okay, thank you. Hate to cut you off there, but we got to stay moving. Brian, anything you want to add about the plan? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Anything you have for that? The floor is yours.
When I moved to Lamar's in 1994, I met a small town community that was above and beyond kindness to its people. If you needed a cup of milk, you just went next door and you got it from your neighbor. They were always willing to lend a helping hand. And I'm afraid that this Vision 45 is going to ruin that. Natural growth is one thing. You get to know that person that moved to your next door or wherever. But I've grown up in an environment there in Southern California where population exploded and it just destroyed the town. It was just so overpopulated. My school looked like a jail. They had a wrought iron fence everything in, armed guards at the gates. And I don't want that for the city of Lamar's. We have the best community here and the nicest people. That's what's kept me here in the Midwest, is the kindness of the people here in the Midwest, in Lamar's here. It's something that shouldn't be destroyed by overpopulating Lamar's.
All right, let's go to Brian for the next question. We'll kind of stick a little bit on Vision 2045, but I want to focus on the housing piece for a minute. There's been a lot of things out there about all the apartment buildings that we're building. I know there was a discussion recently about the tax abatement part of it and whether we should do that or extend it or not extend it. I guess what's your opinion on the housing situation and what do we do with that? You have a minute and 30 seconds.
I don't think we should extend the tax amendment to these big corporations putting up these big apartment buildings. I think that tax should go for single-family dwellings that want to stay in those homes, not to buy them and flip them and make money. 18th Street, when they started 18th Street, that was supposed to be affordable housing. Well, you can't find a house up there on 18th Street for under $400,000 to $500,000. It's out of everybody's price range. As for kids. And the way that everything is going, it's driving up rental prices to the point that they can't afford to live in Lamar's, and that's not right. They should be able to find affordable housing here in Lamar's, and I don't mean trailer houses or modular homes spread out through all of Lamar's, because that's not what Lamar's is. Lamar's is single-family dwelling houses that are friends with their neighbors, and that's what we want to keep in this town. And we don't want to be worried about who is living next door to us now in these high-rise apartment buildings. I used the word riffraff in the first meeting that I did, and when I mean by riffraff, I mean just people coming to the town that don't love the town of Lamar's like we do. Okay? So. All
right. Rob, anything you want to add to that?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It was a question about the housing situation, the tax abatement, whether we should keep that, extend it. Yeah. What do you want to do with housing? I know there's been a lot of conversation about we have too many apartments, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, my take would be that we absolutely need to keep the housing abatement we have. I don't know if we need to increase it. Currently, we've got plenty of interest in apartments, and the interest is stemming from the free market, determining that this is a good place to build. Okay. The reason why prices are going up in Lamar's, the rent and the cost of houses, is it's a supply and demand, and we have a choice of either lowering the demand, which would mean decreasing the appeal of our community, and I don't think anybody wants that. Or we can increase the supply, and that's really all we can do to make housing more affordable. So that's why this goal is to increase the supply of houses that we have, and we need houses that fit all spectrums of life. Whether you're a graduate of college and just moving back to town, or you're retiring and looking for senior housing, the tax abatement applies to multifamily housing, not just apartments. It also applies to single-family duplexes and triplexes and developments such as that. So if we eliminate this tax abatement, we're going to eliminate any opportunity to provide that type of housing.
All right. I just got a question in that I think is a good one. So we're gonna go with this one to Rob. Let me find it here. It actually just showed up on my email. Okay. Do you think avoiding growth will harm our local economy in the future if we fall on harder times or a recession again? So there's been some talk about growth and whether we should keep it or avoid growth or have some kind of natural organic growth. Do you think that'll be worse than embracing some growth?
Absolutely. Growth is the key. It's grow or die. And if you are not leaning into growth, you're a slave to the natural economy, recession, and if a recession comes, you're going to just be a slave to that. Whereas if you're leaning into growth and you've got houses being built and you've got businesses that are coming to town, you'll have natural job growth in the trades and growth in retail sales. Every new house, every new apartment requires things to furnish them, so it boosts sales. In addition, the natural population growth that would come from these new houses increases businesses' sales because they shop here, they live here, and they shop here. They buy their groceries here. So it's an economic tool to boost our local economy, and we need to focus on it.
All right, Brian, anything you want to add to that as far as growth goes? What kind of growth should we have? Where should it be? Anything like that?
I'm not opposed to growth in Lamar's, but I think it needs to be done naturally. You go back and you look where the population was 20 years ago to today, it's not all that much higher today than it was 20 years ago, okay? And Lamar's has thrived. You know, we haven't had any terrible downfalls in our economy here. I think natural growth for Lamar's is good. I don't like to see overpopulation and you bring in 200 new houses and you're trying to do all of this stuff. You're just filling Lamar's up to the point that it's not going to have that small town atmosphere anymore.
Okay, thank you. Your next question is going to go to Brian. This one is about a little bit of a, kind of staying on the 2045 thing a little bit. As a city representative, would you support quality of life projects from both the city, both financially and with personnel? This questioner is asking about things like trails, parks, frisbee golf, other events. Do you support those quality of life projects in Lamar's?
I think some of that is okay, but I don't think they need to go overboard on supplying. You know, who in this town is really going to make use of the bike trail from Lamar's to Sioux City? You know, that was a very expensive bike trail that they put in there. The splash pad that they're putting down here is running water constantly. They aren't recirculating that water. It's going to run constantly. And I think that's just too much wasteful spending to provide the people of Lamar's what they really need in Lamar's. There's a lot of things that they can do that aren't going to cost millions and millions of dollars. And that's what I'm here for, is to try to make people's lives better here in Lamar's by not spending millions and millions and millions of dollars in tax dollars going up and up and up, property taxes. You have a lot of elderly people in this town that are having a hard time making ends meet because their water bills have gone up so high now. Their property taxes are going through the roof. And the big thing is homeowners insurance and car insurance and all of this other stuff that we really have no control over. So there's not much saying that, but you got to look out for your parents, your family, and everybody else as for the spending that goes on Lamar's here.
Rob, anything you want to add to that as far as quality of life projects, anything like that?
Yeah, it's quite simple. Our community needs to continue to be able to continue to thrive. We have to have all the attractions that other places have to live. We need to continue to have the rec trails, the bike trails, the splash pad that they're speaking of, and we need to find means of paying for them that is not a burden to taxpayers, which is what we're doing currently. The city pledged $5.5 million to the local community betterment project. That $5.5 million came from local option sales tax dollars. It does not affect your property tax one iota. The other $5.5 million is raised from local fundraising, which I've been integrally involved with, going around and asking for money from business and industry, as well as citizens who care. The rec trail was also raised through private donations. Didn't cost the taxpayers one penny to build that rec trail, and will be an extreme attraction for our area.
Okay. Great. Let's move on to the next. Let's move on to another question. I want to ask about the fire station. Kind of what's everybody knows the fire station was kind of overwhelmingly defeated in November. Not kind of, it was overwhelmingly defeated in November. What's kind of the next step for the fire station? What should Plan B look like? Should it go back to the voters? Should it not? Kind of how's that going to work? And that question goes to Rob.
Yeah, sure. I would like to sit down with the fire chief and his crew and decide, what exactly their needs are going forward, and if they can be met with any of our existing facilities. I'm fairly confident that his answer is no. And with that information, we would like to. I think we should go back to the voters, much like we did with the school bond issue, and see what level of support they would be willing to support. If they're willing to support a $6 million fire station project or a $5 million fire station project, do surveys in order to determine that level of support, and then he can get out and fundraise, through a capital campaign of some sort to make up the difference if that's his desire, and that would be my suggestion on the way forward.
Brian, anything you want to add about the fire station? What should Plan B be? Anything with that?
Well, I sat down with Mr. Shipper at both fire stations. We went through, did a full walkthrough of both fire stations, and they are jam-packed full of everything. What they would really need at this time would be some additions put onto the buildings that they have to accommodate some of their overstocked supplies that they have in their fire stations for the time being. I have a new fire station in time would be a perfect scenario for them, but we have so much on the table in this town going on right now that it's they can put an addition on the building for figure $500,000 to put an addition on to give them a couple more garage spaces to put their supplies and materials in that would accommodate them for now. Okay, later on when we rebound from all of this that's going on, build them a new fire station. Not at $16 million. I've talked to Mr. Shipper, and he thinks he could get it done for around $8 million. Well, that's half of the. They get a lot of grants, a lot of money coming into them from donations and this and that, and I think that if they can get it done for $8 million, then it would be worth getting their new fire station. But I don't think it needs to happen immediately. Give them the extra space that they need by putting some additions onto their already existing buildings.
All right. We'll stay on. Let's go back to the growth piece one more minute because I had another question come in that I think is a good one. So this will go to Brian. Right, yeah, because I did Rob at the fire station. How do you plan to support natural growth if it occurs without investing in community housing, education, and public service? So how do we get that natural growth you're talking about?
It will come to Lamar's. It will come to Lamar's. If people want to move to Lamar's, they'll move to Lamar's. They don't need to be shipped in here, bussed in here. And I don't know. I'm kind of lost for words right there on this. I just think that it will grow naturally in time.
Rob, any comments on that? Any thoughts?
Yeah,
I'll give you about a minute if you can, just because.
Yeah, first of all, I kind of question the definition of natural growth. I don't think anything anybody is proposing in Vision 2045 is unnatural. We are acquiring a land, and when I say we, primarily the LBIC is acquiring land as we go to make land available for developers, as well as possibly enter into developments that would fit a need for our community. The LBIC purchased a corner out on the bypass across from Wells Corporate, and is attracting and actively soliciting for a hotel and for a restaurant and for a gas station. Those are the kinds of things that we're doing. That to me, that isn't unnatural growth. That's letting the free market work and taking down some of the barriers to development that we currently have. And some of it is how best to acquire land and hold that, and as well as some of the infrastructure costs and investments there. So.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you. I gotta wrap you up there. Okay. We did this with the city council ones. I'll give you guys a chance as well. This is your chance to ask each other a question if you want. So if you want to, Rob, you can ask Brian a question. Brian, you can ask Rob a question. I'll try to keep a hard minute here just so we have time for closing statements, and we can get everybody closed up here. So this will be the last thing, and then we'll go to closing statements. Rob, if you want to ask Brian a question, you have one. You can ask the question, and then you'll have a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Brian, go first. My apologies, because Rob got the last one. No, Brian got the last one. I'm right. Rob, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Rob, go first. Ask Brian a question, and then Brian, you can ask one back as well. Try to keep your response to a minute. I'll try to cut you off when we get close so we can stay moving here.
I guess my question to Brian would be, if not growth and if not Vision 2045, what is your plan for continuing to boost economic growth in our community?
Give a minute, sir.
Just keep doing what we're doing here in Lamar's. Lamar's has thrived for ever since I've been here. They've grown, they've prospered, and I don't think that you should have something forced down your throat kind of thing that people aren't willing to swallow, and from all of the talk that I get from people, they are not for all of this overpopulating their town. They're all for natural growth, just keep it on a level line. Don't try to climb the mountain too fast. You're going to fall off,
All right.
So.
Brian, if there's a question you want to ask Rob, you can ask that now, and then Rob will have a minute to respond.
When is 16th Street going to get fixed? It's dangerous. Really, it is. I mean, if somebody's walking down the street right there. There was a bicyclist that was riding down the street. His front tire got stuck in a crack, and he went down and hit the ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have that particular street on my radar. I know you talked to city council about it. I'm sure we can have our street department go out and take a look at it. If there is issues, I'm sure they can be addressed soon.
I've been asking them for years to come up there and take a look at it.
Yeah. I'll
And
ask
I
them
won't.
again.
All right, and I won't bring up what was said at the town hall meeting about fixing that, because you know what I would, that wasn't cool. So.
All right. Okay, we'll go to closing statements now. Because we started with Brian for the opening comments, we'll close first with Rob, and then Brian will get his closing statement, and then we'll wrap up the forum today. So, Rob, the floor is yours for 1 minute, sir.
Sure, I'm just running, and my goals would be the goals that I'm running on are just to continue our community to thrive, and to make it as attractive, if not more so, than other places to live. We need to continue to have great jobs, quality of life amenities, excellent schools, low taxes, affordable utilities, quality health care, diverse health care or daycare choices, and public safety and housing for all stages of life. The good thing is we have most of that here already. We do need some attention on the housing options for all stages of life. And so that's why a great deal of our community plan is to address those types of things. And the good thing is that when we do that, all the other things will come right along with it. So I will continue to work to ensure our community remains vibrant and is a great place for everyone to live. So.
All right. Great. Thanks, Rob. Brian, you have 1 minute left. You have a minute closing statement, sir.
I'd like to see that taxes for our senior citizens are kept to a minimum. You know, they worked all their lives to purchase their homes. They're paid off, and yet they're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for property tax a year. And some of them can't afford that. And that's not right to treat our senior citizens that way, that have worked all their lives, mostly here in Lamar's, some elsewhere. But to take their golden years away from them by paying it out in property tax is not right to do to the senior citizens of Lamar's.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you got 15 seconds left if
Yeah,
you want it.
I just would like to see taxpayers' dollars curbed and not spent so much, you know.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you. Special thanks to all of our candidates for participating in the broadcast today. Citizens reminder, you can exercise your right to vote by voting on December 2nd. Actually, early voting is going on now. Decisions are made by those who show up, so no matter who you vote for, make sure you vote. This forum will be archived on the KLEM website for future listening and viewing. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank
you,
you,
everybody.